Here's an interesting one. So whose responsibility is it to innovate, to deliver sustainable innovation?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the elephant in the room, right? This is the meaty bit. And in a way, this is kind of explains my career journey, because I did sustainability for 10 years and then pivoted maybe into a new role and took on a slightly new role. And I did that because, and sort of the catalyst for me wanting to do that was, being quite open and frank, was doing sustainability consulting for 10 years in real estate. It became a bit tick boxy. It was, have we performed well here? Tick box, yes, right, done, move on.
Yeah.
And, faced with the pressures that we're faced with, which we don't need to go into, I'm sure everybody knows, in terms of environmentally particularly, I just didn't feel that we were making as much progress as we should have. Now, stand back 10 years, maybe, yes, we have moved forward. But for me personally, I was like, how do we make more of an impact? And also, and this was around 2015-ish, where I was seeing a lot of good products come onto the market, a lot of them technology driven, but not only, that were offering up great solutions, and they couldn't get penetration. They were really struggling to scale within the commercial real estate sector for all the reasons that, again, we don't need to go into the complexities of procurement particularly. And so that was kind of the reasoning behind me thinking, do you know what, we really need to accelerate good solutions into the market. And JLL is ideally positioned to do that, because we're at the sort of, the inflection point of decision making with a lot of our clients. Have we succeeded? Are we as an industry succeeding in that? I'd probably still say no. I mean, I think what's happened is there's been an influx of money from predominantly the VC community, which has fueled those solutions. Now there's just more noise coming at the market. Is the market more informed and more aware and a smarter kind of procurer? I don't think so. And I think, to your point, and this is where it gets it does become a bit tricky. And again, it depends on who you are and what lens you're looking at it from. Whether you're a developer, whether you're the occupier, big corporate, and you're an occupier of a lot of space. Are you a property manager? Are you an FM provider? Or are you a solution in the market? So it kind of depends on where you are. And then there's the whole kind of construction supply chain as well. What I think, though, is that when you look at kind of R&D or innovation, two words that are not synonymous with real estate, like whose responsibility is it to fundamentally say, well, we want to achieve this, and we're not getting that product, or we're not getting that through the value chain. How do we make that happen? And I think that ultimately it's everybody's responsibility, but I think that collaboration is a word, again, you don't hear too often.
Yeah. Which
we need to have more collaboration between the value chain to say, well, look, I want to achieve this, and in the instance of, let's say, the commercial market, is it the ultimate owner? I've set a net zero carbon. I want to achieve this. There's no point just banging your FM guy over the head and saying, why aren't you delivering it? Or, as is the case quite often, look, I've bought a bit of kit, stick it into my building, and why is it not performing? Because there's no alignment, there's no incentive, there's no alignment with the value chain. And I think that also kind of who's making the most margin out of that value chain.
Yeah.
It isn't the FM guy or girl. So I think that's where, I do say, and probably if we speak again in 5 years, I would hope maybe before that, there will be more kind of formalized R&D functions where you're bringing real life, client or industry challenges into a mechanism where you can actually find solutions quickly, but importantly, get them to customers quickly, because I think that's part of the problem. There's a lot of solutions, great, but do they have revenue? I mean, you'll know this because you're in the game, right? How long it takes, how difficult it is to get a new client, to test it, to scale it, to then say, oh, let's go beyond one building and put it in all 50 buildings, let's say.
Yes.
It's painful.
It's a long process. It is a long process. And like you say, the industry that we're in, and we're in commercial buildings and lots of other different types of buildings. But if we stay where you guys play commercial buildings, it is typically people take a long time to make decisions. I don't want to say they like to procrastinate, but they do like to take their time. And I agree with you. It's everyone's responsibility to try and do this. And I know from some of our customers saying, well, I expect JLL or CBRE or ISX or Sodexo to come and bring this to me now because we need to move with the times. Yeah. You're right. Then there needs to be more collaboration than ever before. You can't just say, bring it to me when it's done or when it's finished. That, this is a goal for everyone, right? It's, exactly. If I get very philosophical for a second, it's about the planet and our next generations of people and humans and kids and everyone else. But yeah, people have got to start to work together and, work towards the same goals. And everyone needs to make money because everyone needs to, make a profit to keep their business going, pay their staff and pay their mortgage and bills and have a beer and whatever else. But more and more people need to collaborate on this, because otherwise it'll just be go with them or whoever's paying you the most money to promise you the best delivery, but trying to squeeze the most out of you and make the most margin. It's a tricky one, but I agree with you. Everyone needs to do it, really. I don't think.
But I mean, and again, one thing that we're not great at in the industry is just to look outside the window, right? Every other industry pretty much does this, maybe with a few exceptions. But R&D, innovation, there's some great stats around how little we innovate, or how much the budgets of R&D within real estate compared to other sectors. I mean, it's minuscule.
Yeah.
And okay, define innovation, define R&D. I appreciate that is tricky, but the fact that there's very little formality around it, is it a person's role? Are there actually R&D labs? Are there actually vehicles and facilities for to go, which have a clear route? Now I know accelerators and incubators exist, but they tend to be invest from VC's angle. Get a company up, right, grow, then just go to market, and into the world, and like, how do I sell this? There's no clear route to revenue. There's no clear route to the market. And I think what's missing is a client at the end of it saying, oh, look, I've got a building here, or I've got 15 buildings. I want to go from 100 to 10, and I need energy optimization kit, and I need it in the next 3 years, right? Bang. And that sort of process, and that removing some of the friction in the process, I think will just accelerate things so much more quickly, which ultimately we all want to do, and we'll all make money out of it. So there shouldn't be a risk of not. Yeah. It's a bit of a bugbear of mine, as you can probably